one of the common things that I've noticed with my clients that seem to be the best at hitting their financial goals is they have solid habits in place. And probably the most important habit is what they do when they get paid. What is their payday routine? And step number one is they understand the difference between wants and needs. And why is that important? Because the best way to save a dollar is to not spend a dollar. So that's item number one. Item number two, so once they, you've got to pay the things your needs are, right? Your rent, your utilities, your gasoline. But what's the second thing that they spend their money on? And the second thing is they spend their money, they invest their money in things that give them free money, which for most of us is going to be our 401k, putting money in our 401k up at least until our employers match. So that's the first place that they spend money after their needs, right? Their rent, their utilities, their gas. And then the third place is they look, do they have any high interest debt? The reality is most of our credit cards, the interest rate on our credit cards are 20, 25, 30%. And there is nowhere to get a guaranteed 25 or 30% return except for paying off your credit card debt, because if you don't pay it off, you're going to have to pay that interest rate yourself. So that's one way to get that return. In the 401k, there's nowhere to get 100% guaranteed return outside of your employer match. Now, for most of us, it's important to know that our employer match is subject to vesting, so we may or may not get their money, but we always keep our money. But hopefully, most companies, after you've been there 3, 4, 5 years, you keep the money that the company is putting in for you. Okay, what's the next one? The next one is, do you have any important savings goals? Maybe it's saving for college for yourself. Maybe it's buying a home. So that would be the next one that would be on the top of my list. Now, most financial advisors would say an emergency fund, but I'm going to hold off on that. That's not the next one for me. Well, it is the next one, but first, it was what we just talked about. So the next one is an emergency fund, so that if you have any unexpected life events, you break an arm, you have an unexpected car repair, that you have access to money to pay for that. And the most important one, and the reason financial advisors say 6 to 12 months of living expenses, is because, God forbid, if you were to lose your job, I want you to be able to wait until you find the right job for you, as opposed to just jumping on the very first job that you found. Okay, so that was number 5 is the emergency fund. Number 6 for me is looking at other tax advantaged accounts. So whether that's a Roth IRA or a regular IRA, or a health savings account, which in my opinion is one of the most powerful accounts out there. But very few people want it. A health savings account can be used as a retirement account. And I've done several videos on that. You can look on my channel. But the advantage of a health savings account is you put money in pre-tax dollars, it grows tax-free. And if you have receipts for qualified medical expenses that you've incurred, you can take that money out tax-free at any time. Those receipts do not expire. So the way you use it as a retirement account is you just keep those receipts. And over time, most of us, unfortunately, are going to have enough healthcare expenses that we can take out the money whenever we want, but we choose not to because we want it to continue to grow tax-free. Okay, and it's important for you to know you have to have a high deductible healthcare plan. You can look at my other videos, or you can do a quick online search, but I want you to know that's one of my favorite tax advantage accounts. So we talked about the Roth, we talked about health savings account, and I may not have mentioned yet a regular IRA. And oftentimes people ask me, hey, Azul, how do I think about to do a regular IRA or a Roth IRA? The reality is, if you think your tax rate's going to be the same when you put the money in as when you take the money out, then you're kind of indifferent. And a lot of people are surprised by that. They think, well, one's going to be better than the other. But the tax rate is the same when you put the money in and when you take the money out. Let me give you an example. If you put $1,000 in a Roth IRA, and let's say you're in the 20% tax bracket, Well, you're only going to put $800 in because first you got to pay the government $200 in taxes. If 10 years later that money doubles, you now have $1,600. You take it out and you can spend $1,600. The other example is you put $1,000 into a regular IRA. You don't have to pay tax on that money, so you put the full $1,000 in. Over the next 10 years, it doubles. Let's say you're still in the 20% tax bracket, so now you have $2,000, but now you got to give the government $400. So how much money do you have left to spend? You have the same $1,600. Now, a lot of people, my grandfather was a farmer, a lot of people would rather pay tax on the seed than on the harvest, but you can see how you're kind of indifferent between the two if your tax rate is the same. Okay, so that was the sixth thing for paying yourself. The seventh one is just a long-term taxable account, just a regular taxable account that you would have at the bank, or you would have at a custodian like a Schwab, a Vanguard, a Fidelity, something like that. It's a taxable account. You pay as you go. But you don't want to get to retirement and have all of your money be in like a regular IRA or a regular 401k, because as you take money out of that account, every dollar you take out is going to be classified as ordinary income. And the joke in my industry is, you know, every time you buy a loaf of bread, you're going to have to pay income tax on that because you're taking money out that's going to be classified as ordinary income. Okay, number 8, and I think this is really important and it's often overlooked. Number 8 is buying back your time. All right, so now, you know, you've got an emergency fund in place, you don't have a credit card balance, let's say you've already bought your house, you have that in place. You have all of these other places. What's the next thing that I think is worthwhile? You know, what do none of us get any more of? We can't make more time for ourselves. We kind of can by doing this, which is look at the things that you do that you don't enjoy doing. Maybe it's cleaning your house, mowing your lawn, meal preparation, whatever it is, and see, does it make sense to pay somebody else to do that if you can afford to do it? Now, when you're young and you don't have much money saved up, you know, that's one of the ways you save money so that you can save for a home. But as we get older, those are luxuries. You know, I myself, when my kids were home, I thought it was important for them to see dad out mowing the lawn. So, you know, I would mow the lawn and it was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. But, you know, my own choice, I'd rather not spend my time mowing the lawn. So I was happy to pay and help out a local kid. You know, when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, I used to mow my neighbors' lawns and I was happy to get that money. And now I'm happy to support my neighbors' kids and help them out while also buying back my time. Okay, number 9 is investing in your health. None of us can buy back time. And you know, our health, once we lose our health, you know, this body is our vehicle to do things like this. If you've made it this far in the video, you may wonder, hey, Azul, where the heck are you? I'm in Guatemala. I'm in a surf town called El Paredon. And I'm thrilled that I'm still healthy enough to be able to retire. I'm 60 years old. How many more surf days do I have in front of me? I don't know. You know, hopefully a lot. But the reality is probably less than 100 days. 100 days of surfing in front of me. I don't live on the ocean front, so it's something I do on vacation. So investing in my health, investing in my body, gym memberships, spending money to eat as healthfully as I can. When I'm at a restaurant, paying a little bit more for a healthy meal, or paying for a slightly more expensive restaurant that cooks. In my case, I try to be as vegan as I can, that cooks vegan food. And number 10, the last one on this list, is enjoying the journey. Being able to enjoy the time that we have, and not, you know, I don't want to say, I'm going to wait till I'm 70 in order to enjoy this time. I want to enjoy it now. And that's why I made this video up here. 8 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy your journey until you get to retire. Thanks for watching.